Hey, this is Andrew Brown from Exam Pro, and in this follow along, we're going to be looking all at Azure SQL. So what I want you to do is go to the type here and type in SQL, and you'll notice you'll get the options like the databases, managed instances, and virtual machines. Those are the three under the Azure SQL tier. But to make our lives a little bit easier, we'll type in Azure SQL. I find this really confusing, and so I'm hoping that I can show you the easiest way to find it. But if you go to Azure SQL here and add it, this will actually now give you the option to choose between the three so you can make an informed decision. And we'll work our way from the right to the left. So SQL Virtual Machines is great when you want OS level access to the virtual machine. When you're doing a lift and shift, that means you're moving your SQL server from on-prem to the cloud because you want to take advantage of the cloud. And also, if you want to bring your own license to take advantage of the Azure Hybrid benefit. So if you drop down here, you'll notice that you'll see BYOL. And if you expand here, it'll tell you all the details here as to why you'd want to use that. I'm not going to spin one up because I'm going to show you the price. Okay, so we go over to the price and we scroll on down. We go to page you go. You're going to notice whether it's on or off with hybrid benefit. You're paying about $1 to $2 per hour. And so, you know, you're not going to learn that much by spinning one up because we are going to spin up an SQL server. But at this stage, it's not going to really matter. They're all very similar, so you know I don't want you to spend money if you're a student there. Let's look at SQL managed instances. We'll expand that. Again, this is for lift and shift, meaning you're moving from on-premise to the cloud. But here you don't have access to the OS level. You're not bringing your own license. However, the upside is it's a fully managed service, meaning that it can scale very well. It's going to have great backups and things like that. And it comes in two flavors. We have single instance and single instance Azure Arc. Now, I didn't cover this in the course, but Azure Arc allows you to extend your, I think it's the control plane. It's either data plane or control plane, but the control plane to different cloud providers and also to your on-premise. So the idea here is like you can use SQL managed instances and you can have all the benefits of here and launch the instance within your own infrastructure. So, you know, if you really need to keep that server on-prem, then you can do that with Azure Arc. But here's a single instance, you know, it's just whatever there. And so I'll show you the pricing on that one. And so we'll go to managed instances. We'll scroll on down here. And the lowest cost one here for pay-as-you-go is $1. So it's still kind of expensive if you're a student. Again, I don't know if it has a free tier, and I would imagine it would because that's not really a free tier kind of product. But, you know, I just want you to know that that option's there. We'll make our way now to SQL databases. And so we have a few options here. We have single database, elastic pool, and database server. Okay, so single database is it's a great fit for modern cloud-born applications that need fully managed database with predictable performance. So it has hyperscale, meaning that it can scale up to 100 terabytes. It has serverless compute. It's easy to manage. You have elastic pools. We covered this in the lecture content. This is where you might be like a multi-tenant SaaS and you have multiple databases, one per customer, and you want to save costs, so you actually have them all running on the same server. And you have database server, and so this is just to manage a group of single databases and elastic pools. It's a way of grouping stuff together. And so today, what I'm going to do is launch myself a single database. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll just say Azure SQL, or we'll say DP900, DP900 Azure SQL, just so I can see what I'm doing. We'll go down below here, and I'm just going to call this my Azure SQL. We will drop down here and select a server. We'll have to create a new server. So this will be my Azure SQL server. And you might have to work to choose a name. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Okay. For the login, I'm going to do Azure user. For the password, I'm going to do capital T, testing 1, 2, 3, capital T, testing 1, 2, 3. It's really nice. Sometimes they make you do 4, 5, 6 and then an exclamation mark, but we have the shorter password there. We're going to say OK. Do we want to use an elastic pool? No, I don't think we need that today, but let's expand the general purpose here. I want to make sure that we have the lowest cost possible. So notice to the right here, it's $381 if you provision it. You could also do serverless. I've actually never used the serverless feature here, but this would be really great if you're just trying to learn because it's going to be based on usage here. I've definitely used serverless services, just not this one in particular for SQL. But what I'm going to do is stick with provisioned. And I'm going to look for a basic plan. And what we'll do is scroll this all the way to the left here. And, this is just if we forget to turn off our database. So now it's $5 a month, and probably, per hour, it's, fractions of a penny. So we'll go here and hit apply, and we'll scroll down as we have some options: geo redundant, zone redundant, locally redundant. Honestly, we only need locally redundant, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. Obviously, if you're doing a production database, you want it geo redundant because you're going to have better, like a better redundancy in terms of, like, if a region goes down, you'll still have your database. Okay, we'll go to the next step, to networking. And here we either have public or private endpoint. This is really important for security purposes, right? And we do cover this in the lecture content as well. And so I think it would be a great idea to have that there. Let's go read about firewall rules. Allow services and resources to access server. Yes, to communicate from all resources inside the Azure boundary. That may or may not be part of your subscription. So allow Azure services and resources to access this service. Yes. Add current IP address. Yeah, because that's me. So I'm going to say yes to both of those. It's going to set up our firewall rules, which is really nice. We'll go next to security. Here we have Azure Defender for SQL. If you want that additional protection, you turn that on. It costs $15 a month. And we'll go to the next tab here. Here we could, I guess, let's see, for backup. So start with a blank database, restore from a backup, or select a sample. I'll select a sample because that's nice to have some data. I didn't know they had that there. And so we'll go to next, tags. I didn't really cover tags in the course, but they're actually really important, especially when we're talking about data, because you do want to catalog and categorize all your stuff. So tagging is very simple. What we do is we have a name, so we could say workload, and I would just say like learning, right? But allows us to filter and find resources later down the road. We'll go ahead and hit review create. We can review all of our stuff, see that the price is okay with us. We'll go ahead and create. And again, we're not going to get billed $5 by pressing that button because it's, again, billed per hour. So, we will be billed some kind of sense. I don't know if Azure SQL has a free tier. Probably does. Free tier. Let's see here. Free tier? I don't see it, but I'm not too worried about that. So, again, if you're really worried about any spend, just watch and don't do it. But I do recommend, if you do have the pennies, to go launch the stuff up yourself, because you'll learn a lot more that way. Okay, so I'll see you back here when this is done provisioning. All right, so after a short little wait there, our server is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and hit click, go to resources. And what we can do on the left-hand side is just do a little bit of exploration. So look at the top here where it says set server firewall. Remember from our security part where if we had set some default rules, well, here they are. Okay, so here is my IP address that is allowing me to connect to it. Notice we have that connection policy where it's default, proxy, or redirect, things like that. So we'll go back one step here. And I just want to show you down below that there are some features. So notice that TDE, transparent data encryption, is already turned on. There's your Azure Defender for SQL. We have our dynamic data masking. So on the left-hand side, we'll scroll on down and just take a look at some of the security. So we go to TDE, and you can see it's already turned on for us, which is great. I'm not going to click on the security center because it's a pain to exit out, but let's look at dynamic data masking. So here what it's doing is it's suggesting fields that should be masked, and we can go ahead and just click add, and then we can mask these domains. So I just click that there, and so now these domains are masked, and it shows you a bit of the mask function as to what it would do to mask it. So it's as easy as that. Data discovery and classification. This will be useful. It's in preview right now. It's not showing any information as of yet. But the great thing about this is that it could discover some information that you might care about that's considered sensitive, right? So you might say this is confidential, GDPR, address here, information types. Let's see what we can do here. So we'll say customer, and we'll say credit card, and we'll say highly confidential, and I'll say add classification. I haven't used the service before because I had never seen it before, but it looks like that's a great way to keep track of that kind of stuff. So that's cool. Auditing. I don't think I ever do auditing, but you can turn Azure SQL Auditing. It'll track logs and stuff like that. So the thing is that if someone were to get into your database and try to make changes or to corrupt your data or stuff like that, you'd want to see who was actually accessing those queries. So definitely, if you care about security, you'd absolutely want to turn that on. And then we'll just scroll back to the top here, go to our overview. I want to show you that through Connect, we can connect to Data Studio or Visual Studio. If you click this, it's going to tell you need to install it. I don't have Azure Data Studio yet, so I'm going to go ahead and install it on this computer. And we'll go down below, and I'm on a Windows machine today, so See, it's for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And so I will go ahead and use the user installer, I guess. And we'll download that. It's 100 megabytes. As that's going, we'll make our way back to our main page here. And I also want you to notice there's Power BI. So we will go and download this. We can go download this actually right now. So if we were to click on, is it just get started? Yeah, it's going to download this My Azure PBIDS, and we'll be able to open that file in Power BI. And, you know, we did Power BI earlier in a earlier follow along, so that'll be easy to open. I want you to know if you don't have time to do all the stuff, because we're going to have this database up and running for a little longer than you expect. So if you don't feel like you can do this all in one sitting, you can delete this database and always go ahead and spin it up again when you're ready to continue. But on the left-hand side, they have a query editor here. And we're just going to go log in. So I said my password was testing with a capital T, 123. We'll hit OK. And now that we're in, I can see my tables on the left-hand side here. We got views and stored procedures. But let's say we wanted to execute a query. So I'll just expand this. I've never seen this database before, so I'm just going to go with it. But we'll type in select. Oops. And it's going to be very aggressive about autocomplete, so you got to be really careful here. And I'm just going to say select asterisk, which means all fields. And we want to select it from sales LT dot customer. And notice when it autocompletes, it has square brackets around it. That is just a thing that TSQL does. Let's say you had a field called first name, and you wanted to have it with a space, and that's what brackets let you do. So they're just filling that in case you have reserved words or you know, spaces, but we don't actually have any spaces here, so we can just remove it like that. Sales LT is kind of like the container for all these tables. It's just a naming convention they have for their table names. And so we'll go here, select all, and hit run, and we should get some data back. And so let's just perform a very simple join. So a join will happen when you actually have a foreign key you can join on. So here you can see this is the primary key. Customer doesn't seem to have a whole lot of information. So let's go into products. And this should have, yeah, here you see where it says product category ID. That is a foreign key, so we can use that. So I'm going to go here and type in sales, LT, and we'll do product. Okay. And then we'll do where. Or sorry, we'll do a left join. So we'll say left join. And I want to left join on this product ID. So it would be left join with sales, LT, dot product category. And we would say on, and so we would say sales LT dot product, and it's going to be what was it called? It is product category. Okay, so we say product category ID equals, and we'd say sales LT dot product category category dot ID. So we're saying we want to join where these match on here, assuming joins work in like every other language, which it should. And so I'm going to be very particular and just pull out some particular keys that I want. So here I'm going to say I want the sales LT dot product. Oops. And I wonder if I can do just as on this, like as prod or for P here, because I'm going to go crazy if I have to keep on typing that, eh? So we'll just try that. I think it should work. If we do that, because then it'll just be easier to read here. It's like a way of aliasing it. Sometimes you don't even need to put the word as, you can just put P like this. And for sales product, we could do that as well. So I took out the on, so I'll just say like PC. And we'll see if it lets us do that. Okay. And so here we have product ID. And I want to get the product name. Looks like it's working. And we want the category name, I think. So we'll drop this down. I assume it must have a category. It's taking its time to load here, but we'll just say pc.name as product name, as name, as ID, and we'll see if that lets us run that. Currently not available. If the problem persists, contact customer support. So we'll hit run again. I'm not sure why our server's having problems. I didn't turn it off, did I? Let's go back here and take a look. It's online. Yeah, it's in good shape here, so we should be able to query it. Maybe just lost our connection. So what I'm going to do is just click back here. I'll type in Testing 1, 2, 3. And I'll go ahead and close that there. We'll make our way back. Go back in the query editor. There we go. Not sure why I was giving us trouble. I threw an error here. Invalid ID. Oh yeah, it's not called that. It's called product ID. There we go. We'll run that. Invalid column name product ID. Must be naming these wrong here. Capital D here. Is it the same thing down below here? Normally, you know, like when I name these, I would have them all lowercase underscore, but, you know, in the Azure world, they like to do this quite a bit. So we will try this. Product ID. So it doesn't, oh, right. It wouldn't be, this would be product category ID. Sorry. So this is product category ID. And yeah, that should match. There we go. So we just did a join between the two tables. So we have the name and the product name, which is pretty good there. Our Azure Data Studio looks like it's done downloading. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. So all I'm doing here is I'm just double clicking the file to open it up. And we'll just give that there a second. Oh, it was here the entire time. We'll say I accept, next, next, next. We'll get a desktop icon. Sometimes I can't find them later. Register Data Studio as an editor for supported files. No. I like other programs for that. And we'll go ahead and install that. Doesn't take too long. And we will launch the Data Studio. And yeah, if you've ever used Visual Studio Code, it's going to look very familiar to you, see? So don't like the light mode, rather have it dark appearance. Can we change that to dark? Zen mode? Oh no. Oh no, what did I do? I don't know how to get out of that. Okay, great. Maybe not do Zen mode. I just wanted to make it a dark mode. Not sure how to change that. I guess it's not a big deal, but what we'll do is we'll go over here at the top and we can go ahead and add a new connection. And so that's an MS SQL server. What we'll need to do is, I want to keep this open because it's very hard to find the tables here. But what we'll go here is go back and we'll get the server name. So we'll copy that. And then within Visual Azure Data Studio, we'll paste in our server. We have three options: Windows Authentication, SQL Login, Azure Active Directory. I'm going to use SQL Login. The password is Azure or username is Azure User. The password is capital T, testing 1, 2, 3. What I like, will tell it to remember, is that if you drop it down, it'll see if the database is there. And there it is. So my Azure SQL, that's what we called it. And I'm going to go ahead and connect. And if I expand it, I should be able to see tables, good, and stuff like that. Very good. A lot easier to work with than that preview editor there. So what we can do, I'm just going to go over here and grab our query, copy this. And what we'll do up here is we'll make a new query. So I think it's over here, new query. Maybe it's over here as well. Let me see. No, I guess we just do it from there. I'm just trying to figure out what's the easiest way. Yeah, I can go up there and do new query. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. Notice we can change our connection. I don't think a database is selected right now, so we'll go ahead and connect to this database here. We'll go ahead and run that. And it's the same data, okay? There's the thing called notebooks, which is kind of cool. So I can go ahead and make a new notebook. I think it's using Jupyter Notebooks underneath. But what we'll do, can we save that query? We sure can. I'm not going to save that query today because I do not care. But yeah, it is Jupyter Notebooks. Great. So what we'll do is go File, New Notebook. And here I can write some text. So this will return back both products and product categories. Okay. And then what I can do here is add another piece of code. We'll paste that in. Whoops. And I can even say like limit. So I could say like limit to 20 or maybe 10. And we can go ahead and run that. And we'll just connect on the server here. It just needs to connect. Okay. And we spelled limit wrong, so we'll just spell that again there. Limit. I don't think I'm spelling it wrong, but I'll just take it out because I don't feel like goofing around with that today. And so here we have our records. Okay. It should just be limit, right? L-I-M. Huh. Maybe it's not limit in TSQL. Give me 2 seconds. TSQL limit. Oh, they don't have a limit function. I did not know that. Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. They have things like where row is equal to, like I'm just looking at it over here, right? So see here is use the top record. So select top 5. You know, top 10. What if we try that? There we go. So I guess it's just not limit. So we have that in there, which is kind of nice. And so let's say we wanted to narrow that down to something in particular. If there's a way we could browse the data. Whoops. I mean that by accident. But what we could do here is just take a look. I wanted to see the, I'll do it over here. I want to see the product category ID. Because then maybe we could just do like a where statement really quickly. And so these are all mountain bikes when it's 5. So what we'll do is we'll make a where statement. And we will say when PC product category ID is equal to 5. And then we'll hit run. Okay, and then up here we'll just say that, you know, show us. Oops. Can I edit this? Yep. Show us the top 10 mountain bikes. It's not really saying like, this is not very useful information because it's not saying why it's the top 10. It's just listing it. There's no ordering here. So maybe that would be also a good idea here. So let's just take a look at our data structure here. I mean, we could do it in here as well if we want to explore that way, but I think it's a bit easier to do it here. So let's look at the product and see if there's like any definitive information that makes it interesting, like list price. So maybe that's something we could return here. So we'd say p.listPrice as price. And what we could do is order that. So we'd say order by p.listPrice, descending. There we go. When you have to do that tutorial, it's easier to forget. So now it's listing it from descending prices. That amount isn't very human readable. I don't know if it's like 3,000, whatever. I wonder if we could use a function to do that. If we were using like Postgres, it would just be like floor. So maybe I could like floor the result here or round it. Let's just see if I can do that. Sometimes it's like round. Yeah, there it is. Those are like built-in functions to most SQL languages here. And it needs 2 arguments. What's the second? Oh, probably what to round it to. So we'll probably put a 0 here because it's going to be like round it to what? Maybe it needs to be a 1. Other languages, you just put round in. So I don't know what that is. So what we'll do is look that up. So we'll say TSQL round. Okay, just doing that off screen here. And so it says number expression is an expression of the exact numeric approximation, is the precision in which you want it to be. If I can get a nice example. So rounds a number. I just don't want it with zeros. So that will round it to 2 decimal points, and then we have -2. So we'll go up the top here. Is the precision to numeric to be rounded? Length must be an expression of tiny int. When the length is a positive number, is rounded to the number of decimal points specified by the length. When the number it's on the left side of the decimal point. Oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. So what we want to do is probably round the left or right side. So either give it 2 there. Can't convert data type VN chart. Oh, it's name. You know what? You're probably watching it being like, Andrew, what the heck are you doing? So it's supposed to be up here. So we do round. Okay, and I'll just say 2. And that should round it to 2 decimal points, which is fine. But I really don't want anything there. So I'll say 0. And, you know, I probably would want that just as an integer. There's probably like a way to cast it. So maybe there's like a cast function or to int. So I don't see that. So cast float to int TSQL. Yeah, it's called cast. That's what I thought. And so it's as simple as that. So what we can do, and we probably don't need to round it because the cast will probably round it itself. So we can say cast and say as int. Very good. That looks really nice. Let's say we wanted to like concat something onto that. Again, I don't know how to do concat in TSQL, so we'll look it up. So we'll say TSQL concat strings. In Postgres, it's just a pipe. Oh, it's a plus. Wow, we get a plus. I love that. You don't usually get a plus. So what I'll do here is I'll cast this as an int, and then I'll cast this as, I don't know what it is in this, as varchar. Varchar, yes. Can I do that first? It's still a number, great. And now that it is a string, we can do maybe string $sign like that. We'll say run. Will it let me do that? Yes, very good. And we'll give it also the USD. There we go. So that's kind of nice. So now we kind of have a human readable thing there. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just copy that over, put it in my notebook, and we'll just have that there. I'll move that off screen. And, you know, that's pretty much how you would query data with SQL. Now that we have a MySQL database, we can actually consume it with a lot of other services like Power BI or maybe some other services that we can think of. But yeah, how about we do that next? Let's try to load this data into Power BI.